It's official, guys. We have the new worst character in anime, and his name is Daemon. Let me show you a picture of him. Now, you might be wondering, who is this new character named Daemon? Well, this new character comes from a little franchise, a little indie franchise known as Boruto. Now, if you're mentally sane, you probably never watched Boruto. So, Boruto recently had a recent episode where this new character named Daemon came in. I'm pretty sure it was a recent episode. I don't watch the Boruto anime. I'm caught up with the manga, and I know what you're thinking. Well, Axon, how are you caught up to the manga? Well, I do not read the manga because it's a good story. I read it to make fun of it and just laugh of how bad the story is. So he came out in a recent episode, and let me kind of explain why I think this character was created. So this character, what I think was created was that the Boruto writers thought, well, we have the most hated MC in all of anime history, right? Boruto. Everyone hates Boruto, right? So how do we make him not the worst hated character in anime? Well, we just create the new worst character in anime, Daemon. So pretty much, like, we all know Naruto and Sasuke are the strongest, and they worked for 2 series, right? They had Naruto Shippuden to become the best shinobi in all of the Naruto franchise, right? It took 2 series. Well, let's push them to the side, and let's bring in a new character named Daemon, who just shows up for 1 episode. He was in a test tube. They hinted at him for, like, I don't know, maybe 2 seconds in, like, a previous episode or something like that. And they're like, well, this is the new strongest character in anime. And why is he the new strongest? Well, because we have no idea how to write characters. And we decided this guy is the new strongest character in anime, because we all know the #1 rule to story writing is, tell, don't show. And that's obviously the new rule, right? It's never show, don't tell. It's always tell, don't show. Because, obviously these Boruto writers don't know how to write a story. So they're like, the Boruto writers are just like, if we tell the whole entire audience that this character is the strongest character in anime, everyone will believe it. So pretty much that's what they do. This kid just comes out of a test tube, no training. We don't know why he's the strongest. He just comes out of it. He's like biologically engineered. He's like half cyborg, half man, or whatever. They're creating robots in Boruto. I don't need to explain. Boruto's just a huge mess of a story. I don't want to explain why robots are a thing in Boruto. So pretty much this robot cyborg, whatever you want to call Daemon, but pretty much this thing is a mess. Right, so this kid comes out of a test tube, and he's the new strongest, because apparently he has this power that if you ever try to attack him, the attack is hidden on himself. So pretty much he's invincible. And I don't really have a problem with his power set. I just have a problem with just how bad the writing of Boruto has gone. Like, people are still watching this show. This show is still, I would say, semi-popular, even though I never met a fan who actually kept up with Boruto. Like, all the Boruto fans I know, I wouldn't even call them Boruto fans. If I call someone a Boruto fan, that's degrading them as a human. So pretty much, the only people who have kind of seen Boruto is just there for the fights. They just want to see, like, Naruto and Sasuke do a cool fight. But, they've ran out of Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto lost a Kurama, he lost his Nine Tails, Sasuke lost his Rinnegan. So they're like, well, how do we create new, interesting villains, right? Well, we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to create new, interesting villains. So instead of creating new and interesting villains, just like, well, if we just create a strong villain, that will work, right? Because, like, the villain doesn't need to have a good story. He's just going to be super strong and just have cool powers, right? Isn't that what people like? And so once they set that bar, and that strong and cool villain was Kaguya, the final villain of Naruto, and pretty much the majority of the Naruto fan base knows Kaguya is the worst villain. So they've gone into this time loop, right, where they don't know how to create good villains anymore. After Madara, they failed. They don't know how to create any cool villains. So once they created Kaguya, they're like, well, we need a new villain. But we already said this was the coolest villain, and she was the strongest villain. So how do we top her? Well, let's create a new villain who's even cooler and stronger and has no story. Well, how do we? Well, once we do that, how do we create a new villain? Well, let's make a stronger and cooler one too. Well, we need to do another story arc. So how do we create a new villain? Well, let's just repeat that process until we just run out of videos and people stop watching the Boruto franchise. So pretty much that's what they've been doing, and we've gone to this point. Now we have the kid who's the strongest character in the verse, because they don't have anyone else to be stronger and be the main villain. So this kid is now the strongest character in Naruto, and it's kind of upsetting. For me, who grew up on Naruto, it's just sad to see that these Boruto writers have, like, gone so downhill that they don't know how to make a compelling villain. or anything like that. They just decide to, oh, this is a strong villain. People are gonna like it because, you know, people like power scaling and all that, right? And for all you power scalers, like, is this really what you want? Just like boring villains and all that type of stuff? I personally don't want that, and I assume most of you guys don't like boring villains, but somehow people are still watching this Boruto franchise, and I don't understand, because Boruto actually has fans. Anytime I talk trash about Boruto and I upload on TikTok, somehow they spawn into my comments talking about Boruto isn't trash, Boruto's a good story. Okay, just send yourself to Arkham Asylum and maybe you can seek help, because I have no way of helping you. So Boruto is garbage, and it's just clear to see that the main author of Naruto doesn't write this show anymore. Even though he says that he's part of the show, it's very clear to see that he does not have a big involvement in the writing of the show, because you can obviously see that the person who took over Boruto was his assistant. And you can see this guy has, in my opinion, ruined the franchise. Boruto is just a horrible installment in the Naruto franchise. We all kind of accepted that the Naruto ending wasn't that good with Kaguya being the main villain, though Black Zetsu ending was horribly done. And that was the worst part of the franchise, of the Naruto franchise, and they decided to make that the main focus of the sequel. And it's kind of sad to see such like high up anime like Naruto, one of like the most iconic animes of all time, to be belittled with this sequel. I just can't explain how bad Boruto is, and it's just horrible, guys. Like, that's all I have to say. Boruto franchise is just gone downhill. I don't know how people still like this show. I don't know how people still even like enjoy this. To me, it baffles me. It honestly baffles me that people still watch this, and there's still Boruto fans on like TikTok and everything saying, "Oh, Daemon's the strongest character in anime" and all that. And to me, I'm not that big in determining who's the strongest character in anime. And to me, I've never really cared to determine who's the strongest character in anime, and neither should you. And you should definitely not be proud of is that a random kid that you've never seen, that had no character growth, be the strongest character in your franchise. That's, to me, honestly kind of sad that the writers have stooped this low, where they just gotta bring in a random kid to be the strongest character in the franchise, because they've run out of ideas. They've used aliens like, I don't know, like 5 times now, and they have all become irrelevant because each one just had to be stronger than the other, because no one will watch the show if any of the characters were weak, and they definitely don't know how to make a good villain. So this is all they have to resort to, is making a stronger and stronger character where the power scaling is just insane at the end. And you might be saying, well, Dragon Ball Z does this thing where they just happen to get stronger and stronger villains. Well, the difference is that the villains were never the main part of the story, right? It was never the main part of Dragon Ball Z where, like, oh yeah, the villains getting stronger and stronger is the best thing about the franchise, right? Because that's what Boruto's kind of made it. If they don't have like a strong villain to like be an adversary to like the main character, or like Naruto or Sasuke, like, the show is honestly boring. And I think the Boruto writers know that, so that's why they have to keep on creating these new stronger characters, that they realize if we don't create any new stronger characters, there's nothing left to hold up this story, because there is no story. Well, Dragon Ball Z, I would say it's more character dependent on like a Goku, a Gohan, and even though they keep on ramping up power scaling, it was never mainly about the villain. It was about the villain giving adversary to the characters and seeing how they grow and how they grow as a person over time. The reason why Gohan becomes Super Saiyan 2 and it's so cool is we've seen Gohan grow up and go through adversity and become this unstoppable force through all his endeavors. But Boruto doesn't do anything. He just happens to get stronger because, you know, he fuses with an alien, and that's how he becomes the strongest character in anime. Like, oh my god, this franchise is garbage. Like, this has just become a rant, and I just needed to make you aware of how bad the Boruto franchise is, and it's sad to see such a mighty anime franchise fallen. But at least we still have One Piece, and Dragon Ball Super manga is still pretty good. Like, people still talking about Ultra Ego, right? And I don't even hear people talking about Boruto's Baron mode anymore. That just kind of fell off, right? But with all that being said, Boruto franchise has been bad, will always be bad. There's no way saving this Boruto franchise. If you want to watch good Boruto installment, watch Boruto, the meme franchise made by some random YouTuber who, in my opinion, has done way better on on making a better Naruto sequel by making a Boruto sequel. So, jokes being aside, this anime is horrible. I just needed to rant about this because I'm just tired of all these Boruto fans just being excited in a sense. I'm just a #1 hater. I love hating, and I just want to hate on these Boruto fans parade because these Boruto fans are delusional, and they need to wake up to the reality that their anime just isn't good. So that'll be all. Make sure to like and subscribe and do all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Later, hater. Peace.